Fables of La Fontaine. Phoebus and Boreas. Phoebus and Boreas saw a traveler, fended against bad weather prudently. Autumn had just begun, and then, you see, caution is useful to the wayfarer. It rains and shines, and rainbows bright displayed warned those who ventured out to take a cloak. The Romans call these months, as if in joke, the doubtful. For this season, well arrayed, our fellow, ready for the pelting rain, wore a cloak doubled and of sturdy stuff. He thinks, the wind said, he is armed enough to escape all hazards. But it's quite in vain, for he has not foreseen that I can blow so that no buttons in the world avails. I send cloaks flying as I do ships' sails. It will amuse us just to let him know. Now you shall see. Agreed, then Phoebus said. Then let us bet without more talking. Come, which of us first shall send him cloakless home? You can begin, and I will hide my head. 'Twas soon arranged, and Boreas filled his throat with vapor till his cheeks balloons became. A demon's holiday of lightning, flame, and storm came whistling, wrecking many a boat, shattering many a roof, and all for what? About a paltry cloak. He's much ado to save him from a precipice or two. The wind but wasted time. One's pleased at that. The more it raged, but firmer still he drew around his breast the cloak. The cape just shook, and here and there a shred the tempest took. At last the time was up, no more it blew. Then the hot sun dispersed the cloudy haze, and pierced the weary horseman through and through. Beneath his heavy mantle sprung hot dew. No longer could he bear those fervent rays. He threw his cloak aside, a man of sense. Not half his power had Phoebus yet employed. Mildness has won. The sun was overjoyed. Softness gains more than any violence. Well, there you have it. And what's all this about? Phoebus and Boreas. Well, Phoebus is the personification of the sun. It means shiny or something like that. And Boreas means north. Aurora borealis are the northern lights. Boreas means north. It is the personification of the north wind. So basically, the sun and the north wind see a traveler going by on a horse with a heavy cloak. And then Boreas makes a bet with the sun about how he could blow the cloak off the man's back. So the sun agrees and says, okay, let's see who can make this guy lose his cloak the fastest. You go first. So the wind fills his lungs and fills his cheeks like balloons and blows and blows and blows. Thunder and lightning strike, ships out on the ocean start to sink, I guess, and roofs lose their tiles, trees are shaking, the wind is going crazy, and there's a storm. So the more he blows, the tighter the man holds his cloak around his body, and little bits of the cloak flap in the wind, but as he blows harder and harder, the man holds tighter and tighter and tighter. Eventually, the wind exhausts itself and can blow no more. So then the sun comes out, boing, and all the clouds evaporate in the sun's rays. And the man starts to sweat beneath his cloak. So the sun raises his rays a little bit, and before he even gets to half his strength, the guy is sweating. He takes off his cloak and lays it aside. So the sun won and the wind lost. So what's all this about? Well, the bottom line of this fable is softness gains more than any violence. So you may have heard that you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. Or, be a fisherman, lay out your bait, and the fish will come. Don't be a hunter, chase. If you chase, the prey will run away. If you put out bait, the prey will come to you. So, if you want to attract, use bait, don't chase. If you chase, you'll repel. So this is about persuasion versus threats. If you want somebody to do something for you, or if you want to be popular, you have to persuade people. You have to put out bait that the person you're interested in wants. If you want to catch a fish, for instance, I can't remember where I heard this, but somebody said, yeah, if you want to catch fish, you don't put roast beef and potatoes out in the water. You have to put the worm on the hook. You have to put the bait that the fish wants, not what you want. If you want to persuade the fish, you have to give it what it wants, or to present what it wants. And it's the same. You can persuade people. You can show them how it's their best interest. You can give them what they like, and they will come to you. If you threaten them, be my friend or I'll punch you in the face, that sort of thing doesn't work. Be my friend or I'll punch you in the face makes people go, oh, this person's crazy, I'm leaving. So, same with the saying, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. If you spill a little puddle of vinegar, you're probably not going to see that covered in flies. But if you spill a little puddle of honey, after a little while, all the flies are going to be on the honey. So they say. I don't know. I don't catch flies that way, but that's a common saying. So basically, that is the whole point. You have this blowhard, tough north wind that can spew out all this cold, powerful wind. But he gets the opposite result. The harder he blows, the tighter the guy holds on. Whereas the sun persuades him to take off his cloak by making him more comfortable with the cloak off than on. So this is how you deal with people. If you want people to like you, then you have to be nice and you have to make it attractive for them to get what they want and what they like, rather than be tough and rough and threaten. Nobody likes that. That's what makes people leave or resist. Right? It's like a horse. They say the harder you push on the side of the horse, the harder the horse pushes you back. Like equal and opposite forces. So if you want the horse to like you, give him an apple. Don't hit him with a stick. The carrot versus the stick. We've all seen the Pharaoh with his arms crossed, and in one hand he has a flail, and in the other hand he has a crotchet, which is a hook that shepherds use to keep the sheep safe. If the sheep wanders off, he uses the crotchet to push the sheep back on. Crotchet, crochet, means hook. It's like a shepherd's hook or crook. So this is for guiding. And then you have the flail, which is for beating. This is the idea of the carrot versus the stick. If you want the mule to go, you often see the cartoon of the guy with fishing pole with a carrot hanging down, and the mule is walking, going in the direction of the carrot. That's one way. Or you can whack him with a stick and hope he works that way. So, better to use the carrot than the stick. This is all the same idea, just like the pharaoh. The pharaoh has the power of guidance and being the benevolent leader, the good father king, or he can be the tyrannical king with the flail. A flail is basically a stick with extra pieces of stick that's used for beating the corn off the stalk or of a grain. You beat the grain and the chaff goes off and the seeds go off and you can separate it. So that's the pharaoh. The pharaoh has the power to persuade, but he also has the military force to back up what he says. So you can follow nicely or you can be forced. Well, it's the same. You can be nice and persuasive or you can be threatening. But basically, you want to be nice and persuasive and kind and gentle as much as possible. Sometimes, unfortunately, after you've exhausted all your ability that way, you have no choice but to use the stick or the threats or the flail. But if you go that route first, you're probably going to have bad results. You know, every loving parent has to have the ability to reward and punish. Much better to reward than punish. This is how people train killer whales. I mean, how is a human being going to train a killer whale? The killer whale is thousands of times bigger or heavier, or hundreds anyway, thousands of times more powerful than a human. But if you use rewards, you can get the killer whale to jump through hoops or whatever, or to jump out of the water, or do tricks. You're not going to be able to do that by forcing the killer whale or beating the killer whale. It's not going to respond. Anyway, something to think about. So Phoebus and Boreas and the Traveler. There you have it. Anything you'd like to say down below, please? Until next time, who loves you, baby? Bye.